that we have in the economy. What you now have are issues we are going to unravel. But let's first tell you the big issue, apart from NNPC. The big issue is this. Nigeria, as well as Africa, there's an international division of labor. And that international division of labor places Nigeria and Africa as producers of commodities. And those commodities are agricultural commodities, raw crude, not even refined petroleum. This is processing, value addition. Raw cocoa, raw cassava, everything raw, solid mineral. And so the expectation is that all of this will come to the West to process and then bring it back for us to consume. That is where we have been placed by historical precedents, by international division of labor. So what you find are all the systems and political economy are fighting to perpetuate that status quo. Now, you come and say, okay, what should we do? We have to have progressive value addition as a strategy to be able to add value to our products, what will grow, so that we can eat and substitute for what we are importing. In that way, we'll have a position on the foreign market to bring in dollars from what things we have added value to. When you don't do that, then what happens is that the things you depend on, which is petroleum commodity, the prices go up and down. You have no control over that price. You don't have control over those raw prices. That's one. So keep that by the side. The second issue is, why is it hurting us so much? I know that, the second issue about this, the strategies, government strategies, okay, eat what you produce and then produce what you eat. Okay, and then that then means that if you encourage production, then it will come to the level where it will substitute for import. And then the third strategy government has is what they call export-led growth, which means if you produce for export, it has a big chance of creating jobs at home and reducing poverty sustainably and inviting investments into our economy. So those are the things government has been doing. But what you now have to see is what has gone wrong. Now, if you look at the issue about illiquidity, the issue about illiquidity is what I have just mentioned. That dollars and monies are sequestered in different sections, and then they are not moving. For example, you have regulations that are keeping your domiciliary account dollar and not allowing you to transfer it, to use it to pay, because you can say it's dollarizing the economy. But also, so what you have is that these monies are there, and if you want to use dollar to pay for a dollar, they will say it has to be an imported dollar before you can use it. Then two, you have the foundation of the forex guidance is eligible buyer and seller. And then you have people that say, okay, the bank sees a receivable coming in dollar. They organize and buy it and buy it at a price you don't know. But they still go to the official market to consummate that transaction at a price that is consistent with the going price. There is an arbitrage. There is something between what they are actually buying it for and what they are already sold on the market. You see arbitrage. And you also hear arbitrage being mentioned time and time again. Within the government, multiple government windows, there was arbitrage. And then that means you can buy it and then you go and sell it in the black market. No, that has closed. The one is unified, the government one. But because you have black market and the things, the equilibrium price that are moving, because there are more activities now on that cold end of the black market than in the government market. So that's why the simply said, okay, bring back the 41 items into the official market, and that creates another dynamics. Because it hasn't dealt with some of the issues, but it has done something. So if you want, I can bring out the rest of the things as we begin to talk.
Okay. What does it mean, Prof? The information we get that in the very near future, the federal government will be automating transactions in the entire foreign exchange market. Automating transactions. So what does that mean? And it says that this will tame wide arbitrage that you spoke about, and also that they'll be very strict in punishing speculators.
Well, that is a good idea, but the thing is that the devil is in the implementation. Now, what has happened now is given the background that I laid about the fact that what we have in the country can actually deal with the need, and then what NNPC could earn could also deal with the need. So those strictures and sequestering of all those things that are happening is what presidential order is trying to unblock. So what has happened is that 2 days ago, when the president gave his speech, what he said is that, okay, two things in the speech yesterday, 2 days ago, was one, there is $10 billion in our line of sight. And then these explanations came that this $10 billion can come from demand and supply actions. Demand action is we're going to have to reduce demand, however way you want to do it. Of course, you also have to reduce overhead costs of NNPC somehow and all that. Then we want to increase supply, so more crude will be produced, and then hopefully we will get more. Then forward sales of crude and forward sales of some other assets consistent with our Ministry of Finance Incorporated moves. So all of those are actually going to help to show up supply of forex. So we just work on those. Then you have the Sovereign Investment Fund is coming up with some proposals that they could be able to help in investment flow and all of that. So that's all part of it. But you have two presidential orders that have come in. And those presidential orders are on monetary policy. Of course, some part of fiscal policy, since I've just discussed, enumerated, are actually mainly fiscal policy. Now, what that says, one of them says, you know what, I want to bring all the dollars that are all over the place in the economy, bring them into the formal economy so that you can unlock the liquidity. The liquidity is that these monies are blocked here and they're not allowed to move. So that is done. So it is now what it means is that you now have a statutory forbearance. And that statutory forbearance, you remember that was done in 2020 during the COVID, where central banks said to the banks, I'm granting you statutory forbearance to waive this, to restructure these loans, to do that, to reduce it to 5% for interest. So all of that. And then later you come back. So that's what is going on now. So we don't know how long it's going to be. And then when you ease the flow, then there may also be issues around money laundering and all of that. But these are some of the challenges that we'll have to deal with. But the fact of the matter, we need to deal with the emergency. This is a state of emergency. The president didn't announce state of emergency, but the measures that are rolling out amount to measures that you could have taken under state of emergency. Now, the second one says, I'm going to allow you to create foreign instruments, currency instruments. That means that we can raise bonds in dollars here or euro, and are denominated in those foreign currencies in our domestic economy. So if people who are interested, if you say, for example, you say, okay, I want to raise $10 billion instrument, and then people in the diaspora, there are 7% interest, they will invest. 8% interest, they will invest. So you get a lot of flow of dollar into the economy for those bonds, and then they give us all the things that we need. Of course, they should be able to also take them back when they want to cash in and all that stuff. Yeah. So that is very important, that we are now creating new instruments that could be used to pull in dollars. And then, of course, they may also want to ask for guarantees of those. So that is a very novel one. So when you look at these two coming together, then they would increase liquidity. And then also, when government set up Ministry of Finance Incorporated, the idea in incorporating us, and I happen to be a member of that Presidential Governing Council, the idea is that we have dormant assets. We have non-performing assets of government. I'm talking about thousands of those. And so why don't we just leverage on those to unlock liquidity, sweat some of these equities, and then get some liquidity out of these assets, instead of just keep going on debt instruments. Debt instruments. And debt instruments means your balance sheet is going to be deteriorating every day. They're going to be impacting on your foreign exchange transaction. They're going to be asking you to find money to service this debt. But it's a different ball game if your instruments are now going to be, asset-based instruments. So you are now getting money, forward sales of, somebody wants 25-year lease on this asset. You pay me that 25 years money, I'm not paying interest on it, then it's up to you if you want to go and reactivate it and get your money from there. You are beginning to raise money. And then you are using those assets. You are bringing them back into use. And then you're also looking at the investment portfolios around those assets, apart from, world-class asset management companies. So all of those are happening together, and it's a fiscal, that's the fiscal side, and then complemented by a monetary side. And they're making sure that there's a handshake. So, on a normal day, I would have said, what the heck is going on? Why is President wading into monetary policy to put these instruments out, and then what's CBN going to be doing? So, but when you realize that the President knows what he's doing, actually, he knows, he has that nose for where things have gone wrong and what the courage to attack those. And also he has his two right-hand men, the erudite finance minister, and then also the central bank governor. So they're all working together. I don't think they will undermine each other. And so I will believe that there has been a discussion and engagement on what has to be done and how quickly it has to be done. I mean, the Monetary Policy Committee has not been sitting, so quickly. Even if they sit every day, it will take them a much longer time to roll out those 2 executive orders that has been given by the government, because they will go to argue that. So the president has rolled them out, taking these guys into account, and then hope that they will improve the coordination and alignment between monetary and fiscal policies.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Prof. Now, it's one thing, just as you've explained, and thank you very much for that, because it sort of it does shed a bit of light for those who are non-technical economists, in the sense that